Think about it, HDB is a rent. You are just renting the land and the property from the government, right?
I cannot hang out with Kelvin because he wants cai fan. I want the croissant.
PLH is actually I super like this PLH thing. That's why I say this HDB. They made the wrong move in the first place. So they say
This kind of traveling time is like
normal.
noob.
Yeah.
It's like it's only like 45 minutes.
Like for my place, I remember staying in it for like 10 over years. Okay, it's a landed house. So you won't be moving a lot soon also.
So in this video, I think we will be discussing a pretty new policy that is going to come into fruition in the second half of 2024. It will be this launching of the new BTO scheme, which is the prime location, the plus location, and then the normal BTO. But I think before we go into the three different categories, right, we had this recent article that was posted by a friend of ours, Keith. I'm not too sure why Keith is still not on yet, so it's still another calling again. That hope that he can come and appear on our video itself. But anyhow, I think in his Telegram, he actually posted an article that was written by himself, and I quote, "So I didn't realize how restrictive PLH HDB flats are until my friend showed me. So I decided to look through why they are so restrictive and find out roughly how it works." And he basically written a pretty comprehensive article which kind of distilled down the important facts that a potential couple to be that are interested in this PLH model, what they are kind of, what they can look forward to when they go into this arrangement of a PLH model. So if I can just quickly summarize on what are the issues at hand. So long story short, it's actually an 8-point article. So I'm just going to briefly talk it through, and then we can open up the discussion on whether is it worth it or whether is it wise or advisable for maybe someone in their late 20s or early 30s to go into such an arrangement. So first things first. So point 1, a PLH household must comprise at least a Singaporean citizen and one Singaporean PR. Point 2, singles cannot buy the PLH resale flat. Resale, not even the BTO. So a resale flat, singles cannot buy. Point number 3, there is an income ceiling currently at 14,000 to buy resale PLH flats. So in comparison to even normal resale flats, there's no income ceiling. But then I buy a 4-room, 5-room. But for PLH flat, even after MOP, after the 10 years MOP, there is an income ceiling. Of course, I presume that this 14,000 will be increased subsequently down the line, but you are kind of restricted by a policy, meaning the government can arrange or they can play around with this ceiling. So point number 4 is that you must not own or have an interest in a private property and have not disposed of any private property in the last 30 months. I think this is one of the latest cooling measure. So for somebody that is interested to downgrade, you probably still have to find some sort of a rental arrangement or to stay with someone else for the next 2.5 years before you can go into a PLH, buy into a PLH. Point number 5, the MOP, which is the minimum occupation period, is actually 10 years compared to the 5 years traditionally for a BTO. And point number 6, the mortgage servicing ratio, the demand and prices of PLH resale flats is further capped because of the MSR, which is 30%, and the 14,000 income ceiling, which means that the loan that you can loan out is restricted. So that's so-called the restriction. Point number 7, there will be a clawback, so-called clawback to curb the capital gains. So right now I believe the clawback is in the range of 6 to 8%. Not ruling out in future, it will be a higher percentage clawback for your future sales price. And point number 8, you can only rent out spare rooms and not the whole flat itself. So I think these are the 8 main pointers for PLH flats. And I already see Eric shaking his head. So maybe I'll just get Eric to comment his perspective on a PLH model.
I think personally, if you ask me, right, optionality is very important to me. I believe to a lot of people also lah. Like we want to have the choice to choose, like, okay, when do we want to sell, or maybe if circumstances change, when can we rent out the place. So if you take away that flexibility, and I feel that the 14K is very restrictive. It's very restrictive, and it sort of like puts a cap to how much you can sell the flat for, which is not something that you want if you are like a property seller. Like you buy that property, you want to sell it for as high as you can, right? But if there's an income cap on your buyer, that's a bit high. Even normal HDB don't have that restriction. So it basically means that you have to be very innovative to come up with a solution how to buy this very expensive PLH while having a low salary. These factors listed, right? I feel that PLH may not be a very good choice if you are looking to buy a property.
I think PLH is actually I super like this PLH thing. So you know how like Singaporeans cowpay that the home price is going up. Then the same Singaporeans are also the one who is driving up the house price. So the ones who are cowpaying are the ones who are unable to sell their flat, and the ones who are happy are the ones selling their flat. So this problem is created by Singaporeans themselves lah. So HDB say, oh, okay, I'm going to put a stop to all this. So HDB is meant to be what HDB is, which is for homestay, and not a lottery effect lah. Which basically every Singaporean is out there trying to earn a ton of money from HDB lah. So this PLH thing is I super support it, but I guess I will get cancelled. So yeah, for prime location housing is it should be for your homestay not for investment purpose. If by right you think of it that way, all HDBs should be that way because it's subsidized housing. It shouldn't be used for your own gains.
I think logically speaking, when you look at the different policies instituted, right, HDB is being very creative here. They're creating a lot of restrictions they don't necessarily tell you I restrict the sales price, but I create all this cap. At the end of the day, if you can find somebody that has 500,000 in their CPF and then they come in to buy a PLH model, I think it's fine. They allow for such abnormalities. But I think in general, they have the ability, and it's really dependent on how they want to move their policies around. But I think I have like a particular grant in a way is that I think specifically when you look at the whole BTO process itself, it's generally targeted at those younger folks. So particularly maybe those that just came out, they don't have a lot of cash in their bank. So this whole BTO process allows them, next 5 years you accumulate money, then I build, finish ready, then you pay in the down payment. I think everything is fine and dandy until when you really think about it, right? To me, I think the clawbacks, the income ceiling, I think all those are okay. My biggest worry from a perspective of a young folk is that the 10-year MOP, right, is going to be a huge setback. Setback in a way where the locking in, which is the flexibility part, not so much on whether I can move to a condo or buy another housing, but more so, let's say I have family plans that are going to change in the meantime. 10 years, you say it's a short time. It's not a very long time, but it's not a short time too. And if you look at the primary school, right, let's say a young folk that just came out of uni, girls are probably 23, guys are probably 25, 26. So when they happen to meet their soulmate or whatever it is within the next 1 year after they graduate, so that might push their age to 27. And then you go apply a BTO. Maybe you are lucky on the first try, good for you. But if you're not lucky, maybe you need to try a few rounds. And then that's maybe take another 1 year. So for the guy it's 28, for the girl it's 25. You go into a PLH arrangement, you wait for 5 years for it to construct. The girl is already at 30. The guy is probably at 33, 34. So when you continue pushing down the age number, and then you ask young folks, hey, why y'all don't want to have kids? Then comes in when the whole lock-in period kicks in, when the girl is 30 and the guy is 33, 34. So if let's say they're going to have kids in the next 2 years, then the guy will be 36 and the girl will be 32. But then they're locked into that particular area. And specifically, I'm not too sure about, don't quote me on this, but I think in town area, specifically all these PLH areas, I'm not too sure what's the level of the schooling system now, or like how popular the schools is or schools are. What if I want to move to maybe my alumni? I want to send to my kid to my own alumni. Means I need to move to that nearer area. Might not be a very good school, by the way. Just so that maybe I like the education system. I think that's a decent school. I want him or her to be educated in a Chinese environment, for example. Then I want to move him to another place. And this MOP period doesn't allow me to move, even though I have a kid that comes out. And then the next 7 years, when he go primary school at 7 or 8 years old. So that's my bigger concern in the grander scheme of things of there's really this inflexibility involved. And then I don't know if you write into HDB and then say they want to move to a primary school, I presume that the appeal will probably be rejected because it's not going to be important anyway to them. So then that's my primary concern, rather than trying to do a lottery effect or whatever. This inflexibility also means that if I want to move closer to my parents, maybe 5 years later they fell down, they need to take care. Then you need to go through the whole appeal process again. So that's my I guess gripe with this
I
MOP
suspect
thing.
the PLH thing isn't the main target audience isn't young couples, but more for like second timers who can actually afford to pay the down payment.
But judging from this, right, because the subsidy coming in is getting stronger and stronger. So to give you a flavor, right, how I look at this, I was doing my research lah. So let's say a 3-room vicinity area in comparable characteristics can be going out at 700-800K. But the government can be selling you to 400 to 500K. So that's a 50% subsidy. So if you go to a 4-room, it's even more crazy. The prices are more than 1M. So the target range they give is around 900 to 1.2. But they're selling you at like 600, 700K. So that's another 50%. So that's how they play with the subsidy. And that's how they try to make housing affordable. Yeah, so that's why I don't necessarily agree, because I have quite a lot of people around me, they are all booked into this prime housing. So then my natural question I always ask them is, then if you all have kids, how? Are you going to send him to what? Then they'll come up with creative solutions lah. They'll say, oh, take school bus lah, or everyday fetch lah. I tell you, if today you really everyday fetch, I think it'll be very tiring, especially if the distance is quite some distance. Or the worst case scenario is you send to somewhere near, which is maybe not your ideal, or you, like I said, some really have the consideration that they want the kids to be educated in a Chinese environment. And maybe those nearby are your normal English educated environment, for example. Yeah, so that's just my perspective.
So Eric was talking about this optionality thing, right? If that's your concern, then just straight away don't go for PLH, lor. I think for PLH is for people who straight away, who are okay to settle down and not move for the next 10 years. By the way, this moving thing is very uncommon in Malaysia. Like for my place, I remember staying in it for like 10 over years. Okay, like it's a landed house. So you won't be moving a lot soon also. So, but in Singapore, it seems like this moving house thing is like every 5 years, every 10 years. Because people just want to get rich, right? But for Malaysia, it's not so much. It's more for homestay. Yeah.
But my pushback on this, you think now that you are ready to settle down, right? I think in Chinese there's this term like 人算不如天算. Sometimes really is you cannot count on. Whether it's because of your parents, your in-laws, you need to move to a nearer place, or you need to move together with them, and you can't sell. Like the MOP restriction is you cannot sell unless you go and appeal, which is case by case basis again. So then, I guess that's the flexibility part where Eric talks about, that you are literally locked by law that you can't sell the house.
But this literally locked by law, is it like there's no negotiation?
Can appeal. I believe can appeal. Case by case.
The main thing is like majority of people, if you're buying PLH, I don't know whether is it majority of people, they actually have their family staying around there. For me, I won't even consider PLH because my family all stays around this area. So I won't consider those prime area to buy in the first place.
I think for younger folks, to be honest, how I look at it is, it's very close to our workplace. To be honest, like
workplace,
CBD area.
Oh, CBD area.
Raffles, whatever, Raffles Place, or you look at those staying in Queenstown, staying in Buona, staying in, I guess, Red Hill, those area. 10 minutes, reach already. It's like a few stops only to Raffles Place. Okay. Yeah, compared to if you stay at outskirts, right? You probably need 45 to 1 hour. They can reach in 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
So we're actually targeting a very niche group of people that actually work in the CBD.
Sengkang,
but I
Pasir
think
Ris.
this is a uniquely Singapore issue, right? Like if you stay like other countries, even Malaysia, right?
Yeah,
this
right.
kind of traveling time is like
Normal.
noob.
Yeah.
It's like it's only like 45 minutes. Yeah, but we want to have that like 10 minutes commute. So that's why we lock ourselves into this PLH. That sounds a bit.
Yeah, for places like KL, you go to work 1 hour is 偷笑 already.
Yeah, lor.
And for my Ipoh area, those 30 minutes is okay like driving is driving 30 minutes is considered near. And for Singaporeans, 30 minutes is I cannot I want 10 minutes. I want to save that 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But even if I stay in Tampines, go to town area, it's only like 30 plus minutes, 40 minutes at most.
Yep.
So I don't see the point of staying so near the town area. Plus, you stay so near to the town area, you're going to pay more for the food. So what are you going to eat at if you stay near Raffles Place? Is it Lau Pa Sat? Your your expenses will go up to like $5, $6 per chai fan. Versus I stay in Tampines, it's like $3 per chai fan. So everything goes up as well. Then you suddenly lose the option to sell your house 5 years later. Plus at Raffles Place, I don't think there's a lot of schools, right? It's only like business district area. Maybe I'm wrong. So, by staying to near town area, you get nearer to your work, but you lose everything else. So I don't see the point of staying too near to the town area.
So ultimately, both of y'all don't think that it's advisable or it's worth it to stay in town?
Maybe I'm a bit biased lah. I work at home. but even if I were to work in the office, all these past 10 years, my office were all out of CBD area. Because it's not a normal office job. It's a game development company where the boss just want to save money. We don't have facing clients kind of role. So stay out of town area is the choice for us.
I think, and maybe I will share another perspective, is when you talk to some of these couples that, let's say they enter a 4-room flat, right? By the way, the 4-room flat can go up north of 700 plus for BTO, by the way. The mentality is this, I tell you. So now let's say they buy, some of these flats are already built like a few years ago. So they already did their BTO, they ballot finished already. Then their mentality is this: I buy 700K today, 15 years later, because 5 years plus 10 years, I'll sell at $1.5 million. I mean, it's not necessarily surprising that if the market continues to hold strong, they are able to profit out like close to a double, maybe sometimes 1.5 to double in terms of quantum. And the bigger the quantum, meaning the bigger the square foot, the bigger the appreciation, because theoretically that's how it works. So they go in harboring the mindset that, I go in, I confirm flip my capital double. And because it's leverage and I don't need to put in everything, my return on capital will be so effective that I can use this capital and recycle upwards to upgrade my lifestyle. I don't know what are your thoughts on this idea that you go into BTO, you sure double, and then that's my primary consideration of why I buy a PLH flat. Because I know that the appreciation and the ability for the house to hold value is very high. At least you look at it from a long-term track record basis compared to the outskirts.
I won't consider PLH for the reasons that we already shared lah. But if let's say you're looking from a purely financial point of view, maybe it does make a little bit of sense, because HDB generally, after the subsidy, most likely, I'm not saying that 100% will, most likely you'll make a decent amount of money. A decent amount. Like, I would say like 200,000-300,000 should be quite okay lah. So some agents actually, I have an agent friend who actually told me, if you can move every 5 years and make that 200-300K, would you? The implicit meaning is, if you just move every like 3 to 5 years, right, you can make an extra 150K. Depending on the quantum lah, it's like per year. Extra 150K per year. So would you? Would you, Kelvin?
I would lah, but it will come at the expense of other people who have not flipped the house yet, So the house will become more expensive for them. That's why I say this HDB, they made the wrong move in the first place. So they say, we want subsidized housing, but also we want the house to go up in price. So these two ideas is conflicting already. So if you want subsidy, then you just make it subsidized all the way. Then if they profit, you just take away all the profit.
That's what they're doing, right? That's why there's this clawback thing with PLH.
But for the rest of the non-PLH thing, it's not there yet. So that's why I'm saying, in the perfect scenario, this whole thing shouldn't be flipped at all to make it fully subsidized. Because with subsidy, if you flip it, they're going to take the money away. Then when you buy the house, they're going to give you another grant. The grant money has to come from somewhere. So it will be likely through taxes. So it will be they are taxing the people who got rich. Then they take the money, give back to the poor. Then this whole cycle keep continuing. So it defeats the purpose of subsidized housing. That's what I feel.
Thinking like radically like Kelvin, sometimes I'll ask myself, like, what happens, right, if we take this idea of public housing to an extreme? We say that this HDB all belongs to government. You can come in and rent. So we outright use the word rent. You don't own the place. You rent the place. It's under your name lah. Everything is like you, but you are paying the government a certain amount of money to rent the place. So you're not paying your mortgage, you're paying your rent. Yeah, but it's the flat is still under your name lah. So technically you have a place to stay. The government won't chase you out unless you want to move out to another place. So you're technically just renting. So if you want, you can stop the rent and go to another place. Then all the property all belongs to government. You can do up the place, reno the place if you want, but at the end of the day, when you sell it, right, it's still at a set price. So you basically throw your money down the drain. You're just beautifying it for the sake of like shock. You just look at it like it's nice. Yeah.
But you can't, then it goes down to how do you allocate demand. If that's the case, everybody wants to stay near their workplace. And then there'll be a disproportionate
That's not
amount
true
of people.
because there's a lot of factors involved also. So you ask me, do I want to stay near my workplace? The answer is no, I want to stay near my family. Then some families will want to stay near the primary school. Some families will want to stay near in between the in-laws or whatnot. So there's a lot of factors at play, but we can go by the balloting, first come, first serve kind of.
But this goes back down to the initial idea of HDB, right? They wanted every Singaporean to own a piece of land, so that when push comes to shove, there's something they are defending for. I mean, that's how I understand back then when LKY created this whole system.
I
didn't want
understand. That's why I say it's a
everybody-
radical idea, It's a radical idea. So far, no government has done that kind of thing.
Actually, if you think about it, HDB is a rent. You are just renting the land and the property from the government, right?
So here's the interesting thing, right? When you look at how different groups of people trying to advocate for their own interests, right? Simply put, I think we all just want the best for ourselves. We want near a good school. We want near our workplace. We want to earn money from HDB. We want it cheap. We want it subsidized by the government. Basically, we want everything. So that's why there is so many people from different interest groups all reflecting their own interests, and then they want this, they want that. But I think at the end of the day, like they say, it's not an issue. It's not an easy challenge to tackle. I wanted to tackle one specific thing that I think Minister Desmond said. Why he wanted to levy such a huge subsidy to the PLH model is because he scared the idea of stratification, meaning rich people all stay in one area, and as we know, the CBD area, or even a little bit more outskirt, like so they scared more and more richer people migrate into the place, and then we know that there is some sort of a landed enclave, right? There are some places that are all landed, and then even outside the landed bunch is all condos. So there's hardly, or you find very little HDB, or even those HDBs are very, very old. So what they want to do is they tear down, they build very, very new skyscraper kind, 40, 50 story HDBs, and then they can send people in at BTO prices, which is like 400,000, 500,000, compared to all your landed that are in the millions and multi-millions. So I wanted to know whether you guys agree. Do you think that it will achieve that kind of effect where you mix people of different social classes together into an area?
This is not a new aspect of Singapore, right? We have this social engineering from day one, where the day that we start up HDB, right, we already say that there's a ethnic quota. So on top of this ethnic quota, now they want to talk about like income, So it's quite prevalent in, I think, other countries where, like in US, right, they have this area where all the rich kids go to school, private schools, international school, and then there's those public schools. So it's like they can be right next to each other, but the resources are like vastly different. So I don't know whether this HDB thing, like you forcibly send in people, social engineers so-called, send in this bunch of people that stay in this HDB, like right in the landed enclave, right? Will it actually achieve the outcome of interaction? We are definitely forcing it, like in HDB, in national service, we are deliberately mixing the people, but I don't know whether this HDB thing will serve its purpose, because as people grow out of it, they will mix in with their own crowd. Let's say I'm the type, I'm not but by the way, let's say hypothetically, if I'm the type, right, that I like to do cafe hopping. You know, cafe food is like 20, 30 bucks kind of thing.
A bit hard to find.
Yeah, a bit hard to find. It's like 30, 40, those kind of thing. And then you have friends that are like, Calvin, you want to eat Cai Fan? Like, hey, please, bro, this is more than $5. Then I'll be like, I cannot hang out with Calvin because he wants Cai Fan. I want the croissant. Then we cannot hang out together. So even if we live like in the same town, I won't go out with him. And he's not my type. So we'll.
No, I think you are a bit biased. what if it's a girl you like? Then your girl likes Cai Fan. I think you will downgrade from croissant to Cai Fan, right? Or you straight away treat her eat food. So it's a biased thing. So if it's someone you like, you will sacrifice your whatever croissant thing for her. So you're actually a bit discriminatory.
I think when you bring in this partner thing, is not.
It doesn't have to be a partner. It can be a girl. So if a girl you think is pretty, right, you will also downgrade just to hang out with her.
Not wrong though.
His logic, he leap over many.
Yeah. Assumptions.
I cannot.
Okay.
Chicken, you want to carry on?
No, I think at the end of the day, the intentions might be good, but the outcome might not be as ideal. HDB as an organization, they are here to provide affordable public housing, and they should provide the choices of people that wants to go into that area. And I think it has been rather lacking over the last few years, but now they are speeding up their efforts, they are giving people the choice. Having more choice as a consumer is definitely a good thing. I don't see it as a bad thing necessarily, but a lot of all these outcomes that they hope to achieve, I'm not very confident that they are able to achieve that so-called outcomes. So that's just my perspective.
But I do think that this move by HDB, right, is a move worth trying out, because you have the Forward Singapore initiative, right? Everybody is saying like, maybe this area, Yio Chu Kang area or Bukit Timah area, District 9 or whatnot, East Coast area, is like an enclave for the rich, this kind of thing. So we are trying to actively just open up the area. I think it's a good thing, worth trying out. But like you, I'm not very sure what will be the outcome of it. But let's just wait and see how it pans out.
Yeah, so like I said, I support this. If this trial is successful, they should just expand everyone to the prime housing already, because Singapore is a prime land.
But not only that, if you go up the chain, right, now initially they said because it's a very convincing argument telling you that in town area or near town area, near CBD or whatever it is, they do a 10-year lock-in. Then following which, the second half of this year, they say that there will be a plus housing model, which is also a 10-year lock-in. And the 10-year lock-in is specifically for new BTOs that are near transport hubs or transport nodes. So let's say if you are near MRT, last time, 5 years. Even though it's like Woodlands or something, 5 years. But then now, because you are right beside MRT, they also lock you in for 10 years. So it seems like we are moving towards that 10 years thing. And I think my biggest worry is still the whole, if you lock in people's flexibility, you're not going to give them a way out, especially for this the kids thing. And when kids come into the picture, you will probably have to change a lot of your plans. And then the birth rate, I don't know how it's going to turn out again. So then that's just my idea.
So that's why when you are going to BTO, you should have a long-term plan of what kind of house you should have when you have a family. I don't think like the older generation, they are trying to hop BTO every 5 years, right?
But no, I can tell you a lot of the young folks now is, a lot of people are straddling in between. Meaning they're neutral on this whole childbearing thing. They can have, they can don't have. Let's say they just started out, right? Let's say they take the next 5 years to wait for the BTO to come. They're building their careers, Then after 5 years, then they have the discussion. So if you can't even confirm whether you want to have kids or not, then you can't confirm which area you want to stay so they can send the kids to whichever school it is. Then how does this whole thing play out? I don't know.
I definitely agree with Chiking. This generation, I think we are a lot more mobile, and there's a lot of changes going on, not just in the society, economically and all that, with ChatGPT, AI and all this, and people's income can change quite drastically, and then while they may not consider having a kid like combined income 10K, then within 5 years maybe their income went up by a lot. So now they have 20K combined income. They're thinking like, maybe we can have one. We can afford to have one. Then what then? Then they already bought a 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom. Then they'll be feeling a bit stuck. So I do understand where he's coming from because people's circumstances are always changing. Right?
No.
No, your circumstances stay the same.
No, I mean like okay, so right from the start, if I know that I might want to have kids, I will straight away go for the non-prime housing already lah. So if I want prime, this means I straight away
Say that I don't want kids.
say that I don't want to move and say that I'm okay with a smaller room house area.
So when you bought your property, right, did
Yeah.
you already had a family? You already had your kids?
No. So I married, then I bought the house. Then a few years later, then I only had kids.
So you already know, oh, I plan to have this number of kids. That's
Yeah.
why I buy a 4 bedroom.
Yeah. That's called planning, family planning.
Wow.
I think that's not normal though.
Yeah,
Serious?
that's
Normal case.
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of people nowadays, I feel that they are quite dependent on their financial income. So they are thinking like, oh, maybe we can have 1 or 2 depending on our income. If our income is takes a good jump, like you get a good pay rise, then can consider we can support 1 more. So that's those kind of
So
mentality.
if you didn't have high income now, would you still have kids?
You're asking me,
Yeah.
I'll confirm I will have at least 1.
Yeah lah. So
So
you
for me,
already
that's
knew
the
how
bottom
much you
line.
want before you did all these things lah.
So if you're asking for me, right, I wanted maybe 1 or 2. I mean, if my financial situation went back then, 10 years ago, if I know that I can make how much income, I might have more kids instead of just at 1. So I think people's situation do change. I don't know lah. Like for me, I thought that the couples around me, I'm seeing more of that. Like they are not even thinking about like 1 or 2. They're thinking about none or 1. So that 1 is very precious, yeah. If we can do something as a society or government-wise, I'm not trying to give advice to government, but I think they're moving in the right direction.
Actually, this creative policy again, meaning if now you have no kids, after you move into housing, if you have kids, they give you a chance to move out or to skirt around this MOP rule.
To give you a larger.
Yeah.
I think since last time HDB has been very accommodating. Let's say you have a 1 bedroom, right? And then you say that, oh, now I have like 2 kids and then my parents staying with me. I need to move out, but I haven't reached the MOP yet. I'm off by 1 year or so. You can write in to appeal. I think this has always been the case. They are always willing to listen. So that's the great thing about HDB lah. But having said that, if we want a blanket and you don't want everybody to keep appealing, right, for all the reasons, then I think the policy is like going to be quite messy. So far in Singapore, I think when you have kids, right, the incentives are you have lesser tax. Right, you get tax relief, you get rebate, you get baby bonus, but I don't know. Do you think it's enough?
Yeah, it's not enough. You will use it up within 2 to 3 years.
2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
I think
So-
that's been my experience as well. So like with the skyrocketing prices, I think that we could definitely do more. I think in this area of housing, maybe we can. I don't know. Chicken, what do you think? What will entice you
To what? To have kids?
to tilt towards like maybe having 1 and not having to worry about the financial constraint?
No, honestly, this financial constraints, right, it's always a fight for resources. It's whether you want to have a good life, you want to travel 4 times a year, 6 times a year, which is what a lot of young folks are doing, or you have a kid and then you straddle between all the trade-offs. So this financial constraints part, the government can only do that much. They can't go out and say that, oh, I support them until they're 18 years old, then it doesn't work that way as well. So having kids or not is still a very personal issue as well on whether they want to take up the responsibility and whatnot. But finance is one aspect. I think housing, having the ability, the flexibility to move is also another aspect. they can just do as much as they can. But yeah, for me personally, it might be a personal issue rather than a financial issue. Maybe it's like your partner don't want, or maybe you don't want, you have other considerations. I think those are more non-monetary. It's more, I guess, philosophical on whether you want to have kids, what's the point of having kids. And then, like they say, life is suffering, and then why you bring another people down to suffer, stuff like that. So that's on another level, not so much on
You heard of this saying, misery loves company?
misery loves.
Company.
Is that why you have kids?
No lah, of course not lah.
So I guess that's why. Also, you can't. The ironic thing is, girls has a prime age, right? After 35, then the risk of pregnancy and whatnot gets kind of half, or the risk gets doubled. The chances are kind of half and stuff every a few years. But it's also precisely the point that when you're young and ignorant, you don't know what you're doing, and then you can't settle down. Then when you're older, you're much matured, you think that you are settled down, and then your body clock doesn't catch up. So you're always straddling in between, and you kind of have to make that decision even when the time is not right, or even when you don't have perfect information. Your career might just be starting out. Maybe like Eric said, 10 years later your income like 10x, but you don't know. And back then you have to make the decision already. So yeah, this is just my own consideration. But I would think that housing is a very important part in most Singaporeans. Whether you look at it from a financial terms in their portfolio, or is it from a housing, personal life kind of perspective, yeah, this PLH do have their own drawbacks and definitely benefits in trying to keep it affordable lah. So that's just my general thoughts. So with that, I'm not too sure how many of you are in your BTO journey, but if you are, and if you're considering the PLH model or not considering, please feel free to leave in the comments below as well. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.